Just how are you guys feeling about game day being so close? How do you feel about your tight end room being ready for the moment? And who do you see kind of stepping up for you guys on Saturday?
Well, I'm very excited. Like we move here, and like the first thing we hear is just how special Pullman is on Saturdays, and so I can't wait to see the stands and see the fans and everything we heard about when we got here. So obviously, really excited for game day. How the tight end group is going to do, this is an awesome group of kids, and it's a bunch of kids like they're the reason why you coach. Just fun to be around. They want to be good. You don't have to corral anybody to go work hard. They just enjoy this. So that's their joy to coach. And, the guys that I expect to show up, man, like Trey Lechner's had an unbelievable spring and fall. He's going to have a great impact on this team. And he's a great leader. Like he's, as a younger guy, kind of taking control and kind of just been exactly what we needed him to be. So he's been really awesome to watch. And then Adam Mola-Fillet, the transfer from Michigan State, those two guys are going to be the ones kind of leading us out, and I'm really excited to see what those guys can do.
Washington State, especially the past 10 years or so, it's hard to find a tight end to really be like this is someone you should be a role model after. What do Coug fans need to know about the tight end position and what it can do in game like situations?
Yeah, this is a really fun offense to play tight end, just because it is something that we're gonna. It's easy to sell in recruiting, but one thing I always tell kids, it's like, hey, everybody uses a tight end. How do your offense feature tight ends? And we feature. This offense has produced a lot of great players over the years, and but like I said, the biggest thing we're looking for is just that skill set to do everything. You're going to be able to do all the dirty work, but we're going to split out and catch passes and have a lot of fun, and we'll show up on game day. People will know who we are, and we're going to play really, really hard, and we're going to be fun to watch.
Coach, what's the biggest message from Coach Rogers and maybe from you to the tight end group about, those final screws that need to be tightened as you head into Saturday, and what's going to be the biggest, focal point as you guys get ready for the last few days of practice here?
From Coach Rogers, from us, it's toughness. Just be the tougher guy. It's kind of the nature of football. You're not always going to be the best team or the best player, but you can be the toughest guy. That's kind of a choice that you make, and that's something that this program is built on, is just toughness, effort, doing things the right way. That is kind of for sure what our message is. At the end of the day, it's, we got a lot of young kids in this game that are going to play for the first time, and, to say that, no mistakes are going to be made is, not realistic, but what we can count on is having incredible effort throughout the game, and if we have that, we're going to be just fine. So just that intense drive to finish is probably the biggest thing that we preach as a coaching staff and as players, of just if you just want it a little bit more, it generally is going to turn out well for you.
College football seems to be such an interconnected game, at least for the coaching world. Do you have any friends, acquaintances, or other connections to Idaho, and have you talked to them at all recently?
No, Idaho, obviously I've heard a lot about those coaches. Great job. They've done an incredible job over there. The previous Idaho staff, Coach Eck and Coach Slice, were at South Dakota State right before I was. So I actually, I heard all the stories about them without meeting them for a while. So it was good to finally put a face to a name. So I knew more of the old staff, I would say, but there's a lot of guys over there I know by just Lance Dunbar, the running backs coach. I'm from, probably can tell from my accent, I'm from Deep East Texas, so Dallas Cowboy, North Texas grad, knew all about him. So, but obviously I knew Coach Ford has done a phenomenal job. He was there, went to Oregon State, came back. So, really hats off to those guys. That program has done an incredible job the last few years, and we're expecting it to continue. We're excited for a really good game on Saturday.
And then this coaching staff, a lot of players have praised you guys as being different and genuine and in a positive way. What is it that you think makes this coaching staff different from maybe other experiences they've had?
Man, I don't know. Everybody keeps saying that. I don't know what other people are telling them, but everybody say, you guys come off so genuine. It's like, man, what is everybody else doing? They're trying to sell you something, but the biggest thing is I would tell you is our coaching staff are actually friends. I've been fortunate, and I'm brief career, but I've been a good number of schools already, and not every staff is as close as we are. Our wives hang out together, our kids play together. We hang out with each other outside of football, and we enjoy being around each other. And I think kids feel that. If me and you don't like each other and we got to pretend like it around each other, well, our kids are going to kind of pick sides. They pick up on that. So I think it more than anything is just be who you are. We've never tried to hide anything about ourselves. It's just we are who we are, and if you like it, great, and if you don't, well, we'll find a way to get you on the same page with us. So we just try to be as authentic as we can. Just lying to a kid is usually a good way to lose them. So.
What about Mola and Trey, and just maybe in their skill sets, kind of push them to the top and to the front of the tight end room?
Well, Mola just we went out and looked for a bigger body, true Y, that Rob Gronkowski type. He's 6'7", 250, a guy that can win with his length and his strength, but can also flex out and do a lot of things in the pass game. So really, it's just he's an experienced guy. He's been at 2 different schools. Started has played in the Big Ten. Started at Norfolk State, played there as a true freshman. So I was looking for a guy with some experience and some maturity, but his play strength is really what sets him apart from the other guys, is just his ability to use his length and make cutoffs and get the job done that we need on the line of scrimmage. And then Trey, Trey's just he's an unbelievable athlete. He was a running back in high school, and you could see that on game day. So they're going to be a tandem of when we're looking for a guy to kind of put his hand in the dirt and move people. Mola's going to be in there more often than not, and when we're looking for a guy that can make plays with the ball in his hand and split out, Trey's going to be out there. But they're going to be a great pair together because they can do everything in the offense, which is great for us.
Well, speaking of making catches, we saw a few by Moa this fall camp, the one-handed variety. When he's able to do those kinds of things, is it a pleasant surprise given how much of what you wanted him for was the strength and the body type? What's your reaction, and how do you kind of try to make the most out of that?
Well, obviously, you just take all the credit for it. Like, I taught him that, No. It makes you feel really confident. He can make those tough catches. Like you said, he was brought here, to be that bigger body guy. But, our offense isn't, I didn't want just an eligible tackle, in an 83. I wanted a guy that could do everything. And, he's been everything we wanted and more. So his ability to go make those big plays makes it really easy to leave him out there regardless of situation. And like I said, he's a pleasure to coach. So, he makes us look really good when he does things like that.